Go, what's your sign? Go,
I want signature. I want to see.
Nah, just
Jamal, be careful, brother. Jamal, take care of yourself.
Jamal, they didn't get you Greg Cyber. Go, what's your sign? Go,
I want signature. I want to see.
Nah, just
Jamal, be careful, brother.
Give us one wacky fun fact about your life, Annie, that would surprise us.
I was suspended in the first grade. I made a toilet out of snow during recess, and then I made the kids use it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I need to stand if that's okay.
Go ahead, stand right there.
Just speaking of Jelly, like, saying she comes over, does she stay here?
There's a moment every man knows. Someone says something and you feel it. A comment lands, a message hits, a look, a rejection, a betrayal, and suddenly your entire day is shaped by something you didn't choose. You replay it in the shower. You rehearse comebacks while driving. You fall asleep with your jaw clenched, and somewhere deep inside you know this is not the life you were meant to live. Not reactive, not hostage to every passing wind. You were meant for something more solid. Something ancient, the kind of presence men used to have before we became this soft, glass-boned version of ourselves. This video is about how to get that back. Not through suppression, not through pretending, but through a specific shift in how you see the world, one that men have used for 2,000 years to walk through wars, betrayals, exile, and loss without breaking. It's called the untouchable state. And by the end of these next few minutes, you will understand exactly how to build it. The first thing you have to accept is this: nothing outside of you has the power to touch you. That sounds like a lie, because right now, everything touches you. Traffic touches you. A stranger's opinion online touches you. But those things are not actually reaching you. Something else is. Your judgment about them, your interpretation, your story. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men to ever live, wrote a single sentence in his private notebook that changed philosophy forever. He said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength, not the world, your mind." That is where the wound happens, that is where the fire is lit, and that is where the untouchable state is built or destroyed every second of every day. Think about this. If someone insults you in a language you don't understand, you feel nothing. The sound waves hit your ears. Your body registers them, but because you don't know what they mean, you continue eating your food, unaffected. The insult had no power. Now imagine the same insult in English. Suddenly your heart rate rises, your face flushes. You want to fight or run or shrink. What changed? Not the insult, your interpretation of it. This is the entire secret. Between what happens and how you feel, there is always a gap, and in that gap lives your freedom. Most men have no gap. They live in pure reaction. Something happens, they feel it, they act on it, they suffer. Life becomes a series of things being done to them. And they wonder why they feel so tired, why they feel like they're always losing, why nothing seems to work. It's because they've handed the steering wheel of their inner world to every person, every event, every random circumstance they encounter. They are not driving, they are being dragged. The untouchable man is different, not because he doesn't feel, he feels everything, but between the feeling and the reaction, he inserts a pause, a tiny, powerful pause. And in that pause, he asks one question: is this actually mine to carry? Is this event, this comment, this rejection actually about me? Or is it just a wave hitting a rock? A rock does not argue with the wave. A rock does not chase the wave. A rock does not become the wave. The rock simply is, and the wave passes. Here is the ancient framework you need to burn into your mind. There are two categories of things in this life. The first is what you control. The second is what you do not. You control your effort, your response, your standards, your discipline, your attention, your judgment. That is it. That is the entire list. You do not control other people. You do not control outcomes. You do not control the weather, the economy, what your boss decides, what a stranger says. Nothing. Zero. You have no power there, and you never did. The suffering of modern men comes from one single mistake. They pour their energy into the second category. They try to control what other people think of them. They try to control outcomes they cannot influence. They try to control the past, which is finished, and the future, which hasn't arrived. Meanwhile, the one thing that is truly theirs, their inner state, they abandon. They leave it wide open, unguarded, available to be shaped by anyone who walks by. The untouchable man reverses this. He becomes obsessed with what is his posture, his breath, his words, his attention, his response to what happens, and he becomes almost bored by what is not his. Someone insults him, not his. Someone leaves him, not his. Someone succeeds where he failed, not his. He does not waste a single breath fighting reality. He accepts what has happened, then acts from that acceptance. This is not weakness. This is the highest form of strength that exists. There is a practice for this. It's simple. Every time something happens that would normally shake you, you pause and you say to yourself, this is not mine. Not out loud, in your chest, in your bones. This is not mine. The insult is not mine. It belongs to the person who threw it. The rejection is not mine. It belongs to the one who couldn't see me. The failure is not mine to carry forever. It is mine to learn from and release. This is not mine. Say it 100 times a day if you have to. Slowly, you begin to notice something strange. The waves keep coming, but they stop moving you. Now hear this, because this is where most men get it wrong. The untouchable state is not coldness. It is not pretending not to care. It is not shutting down and calling it strength. That is not power, that is armor. And armor is heavy, and armor eventually cracks. What we are talking about is different. It is warmth without dependence. It is presence without attachment. It is caring deeply still create better that no storm can reach. The men who moved through history like this were not statues. They were fathers, warriors, kings, philosophers, artists. They laughed, they wept, they loved. But when the world came for them, when betrayal came, when loss came, when death came, they did not shatter. Because they had spent every quiet morning, every silent evening, building the one thing no one can take from you, a mind belong to self. There is a way of it. The reason such is because you have not yet decided who you are. When a man knows exactly who he is, what he stands for, and what not, insults slide off his own. He does not need to doesn't need approval, because he gave him the approval that is still the inside, and that when you shake it, nothing is not today. When next comes, when the next disappointment, when the next person I stand for it, and then remind yourself, how you understood their noise in storms, but in here, in the quiet, unshakable place where the real you has been waiting all along for you to come home. The first thing to understand is that wealth and income are two completely different things, and confusing them is the single most common error people make. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep. A man earning £500,000 a year who spends $490,000 of it is not wealthy. He is a high-earning consumer. He owns nothing that will survive the loss of his job. A man earning £50,000 a year who lives on $30,000 and invests the difference for 30 years will end, and who would not identify as wealthy from the outside. He looks ordinary. He drives an ordinary car. He lives in an ordinary house. His wealth is not consumed. It is accumulated. Research on this is extraordinarily clear. Thomas Stanley studied millionaires for decades and found that the majority of American millionaires drove used cars, lived in middle-class neighborhoods, and had never bought a suit costing more than $400. Meanwhile, the men who displayed extreme wealth through consumption often had negative net worth. They owed more than they owned. The first mental shift required for wealth is this: Stop trying to look wealthy. Start trying to be wealthy. These are opposite behaviors, not similar ones. The second thing to understand is that the human mind is not built for long-term financial thinking, and understanding why is the beginning of overcoming it. Human beings evolved in environments where the future was radically uncertain. A meal available today was worth more than the possibility of a meal tomorrow, because tomorrow you might be dead. This produced a specific mental pattern called hyperbolic discounting, the tendency to massively overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue future ones. This pattern still runs your mind today. When you are offered £100 now or £110 in a week, most people take the 100 immediately, even though waiting 7 days for a 10% return is one of the best investments they will ever be offered. The wealthy have not overcome this instinct. It runs in them too. What they have done is structure their lives so that the instinct cannot destroy them. They automate their savings, so the money is invested before their mind gets a chance to want to spend it. They set up systems where the default behavior is wealthy behavior. The simplest action you can take with your finances is a massive money cannot enter on impulses. Money requires an active decision will never be safe, but not built to make decisions consistently. The third thing to understand is the mathematical concept that runs almost all long-term compound interest. The human mind is almost incapable of understanding it intuitively. Compound interest is when your money earns returns, and then those returns themselves earn returns, and then those returns earn returns, and so on over decades. The mathematical result is not linear growth, it is exponential growth. The human mind evolved to understand linear growth. 10 steps produce 10 times as much progress as one step. This intuition is correct in the physical domain of life, but it is completely wrong for compound interest. Consider this. If you invest £1,000 and a 10% return each year, after 10 years you have approximately £2,500. After 20 years, about £6,700. After 30 years, £17,400. After 40 years, £45,000. The growth is not linear. The last decade produced more growth than the entire 30 years point. This is why the age at which you begin investing matters far more than the amount you invest. A 20-year-old investing £200 a month for 10 years and then never investing again will end up with more money at retirement than a 30-year-old investing £200 a month for the next 35 years. The extra 10 years of compounding at the start outweighs the extra 25 years of contributions at the end. Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in modern history, accumulated approximately 99% of his wealth at the age of 50. Not becoming an investor at 50, but he had been consistent for 4 years and compounded funds on Earth. Understanding changes almost everything about how you should put money. The best thing to do is start early, even with small amounts, because time is doing almost all the work. The fourth thing to understand is the specific set of cognitive biases that cause most people to lose money with their money. The first is long vision. Human beings feel that losing £100 from instantly has they'll gain money. This interest causes errors, LX, panic rates, losses, competitive flow. They always have to with longer because of the loss versus the muscle pain. Wealthy and intuitive. They understand more depth the times of terms of experiences. Ordinary people crashes, wealthy one. The second bias is doing away recent information far more heavily than older information. If markets have been right for years, full confidence will keep forever, make the risk. If markets have been falling 2 years, falling, investing at the moment. It shows the opposite pattern is usually correct. Markets that have been rising for years, markets that have been falling are usually unvalued. The wealthy make long-term or adaptive not the reasonable. The third is from someone who invest good they can mission first to more aim for it. Because people hold to losing this long past the point when they're they can believe it will wealthy actually can't get a break from the farm there. They don't answer the strongest arguments against an investment. They not miss all sides of human beings are determined what to do. Everyone finds it wrong. Most people live here. If they want to be about people they should do. Some will take wrong and next when it's like right. You make time. When it's like the healthy friends they'll see it will control the time that future they would. The actual moment arrives, they take the immediate reward. This one's reasonable goals will pay and then remove your own ability to change it. Automated investments, locked retirement accounts, directed to increase the workers in the present bias equation. Mental patterns they share, ordinary people do not. The first pattern is long-term rise. Wealthy people routinely think about their money in decade long terms. They want to invest in 30 years, not what it will do this quarter. This time horizon change becomes irrelevant over decades. Jeff Bezos, when discussing the ability to do to work on your time, competing and Almost no one is willing to think in ways. The people who do have almost no competition. The second is a specific relationship with utility as pain and try to avoid it. Wealthy people understand that by which the market pays patient investors for staying invested. A salary that requires continuous work is structurally different and psychology building completely different. The fourth pattern emotional attachment from terms. The wealthy do not check their internal state, not their long-term decisions will go years. They will not make the emotional pattern use. The pattern is called pretty ignorance. The way that we consume and eat their emotional reaction. Financial use is producing an urgency, feeling that they're living by not consuming this content. The sixth thing to understand is the specific behavior allowing every raise and bonus to accelerate their wealth accumulation rather than fund additional consumption. The third is investing in appreciating assets rather than depreciating ones. Cars depreciate, consumer goods depreciate, vacations depreciate to nothing. Stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, properly chosen, appreciate. The wealthy direct their money toward assets that grow over time. Ordinary people direct their money toward things that lose value the moment they are purchased. The fourth is avoiding high-interest debt. Credit card debt at 20% interest is one of the most efficient wealth-destroying mechanisms ever invented. No investment reliably produces 20% returns. Every pound owed to a credit card is a guaranteed 20% loss. Eliminating high-interest debt is mathematically equivalent to earning a 20% return, one of the best returns available anywhere. The fifth is diversification. Do not put all of your investments into one company, one asset, or one sector. Historical evidence shows that concentrated bets, even in seemingly strong companies, produce catastrophic losses, often enough that they should not be your strategy. Diversified investments in broad market indices produce reliable long-term returns for individual winners. Investment compounds annual returns to, but it's due. 11% annual fee for 40 years investing will do approximately a third of your final wealth. Wealthy dependent fees and too low on investment vehicles. Ordinary ignore fees and lose vast amounts of wealth without realizing it. The seventh is patience. The single most powerful behavior in investing, buying diversified investments holding them for decades, outperforms almost every strategy involving active buying and selling. Desire to constantly act, constantly optimize, constantly react to news, desire for wealth, but learn to ill. The seventh thing to understand is why most people, despite understanding all of this intellectually, will not actually do it, and how it overcomes the specific obstacles. The first obstacle is that these behaviors are boring. The wealthy behavior, automating savings, investing in index funds, holding for decades, more in news, is exciting. The exciting behavior, vacating, chasing hot stocks, buying cryptocurrency, following investment gurus, is what feels satisfying. But exciting behavior usually loses money, and boring behavior usually builds wealth. The second obstacle is that these behaviors produce no short-term visible progress. You will invest for years and feel like nothing is happening because compounding produces its results at the end. Most people abandon strategy before it works because they cannot tolerate the years of nothingness. The third obstacle is social pressure. Your design expense hours, going on expensive holidays, staying wealth through consumption. Living below your income feels lonely. It's highly ability to differ from your peer group, an ability most people do not have. The fourth obstacle is constant marketing designed to make you spend. Every day you're exposed to thousands of messages designed to make you feel that you need something. Resisting this constant pressure requires deliberate defense. Take off the elasticity attitude because you market they the noise, not information about what they should want. The fifth obstacle is the emotional need for money to solve problems if not solved. Many people spend money not because they need what they are buying, but because they are trying to soothe a psychological state. Loneliness, boredom, insecurity, anxiety. The purchase temporarily satisfies the state, but the underlying issue returns, requiring another purchase. This cycle can consume all available income indefinitely, whether they have a underlying psychological state directly, so they're not driven to soothe them who purchase it. This is the psychological work required for wealth, dealing with the interior states that create emotional spending rather than trying to satisfy them through more spending. The final thing to understand, deep fishing, is that money is tool for freedom, not happiness. Research on happiness and income shows a consistent pattern. Below a certain threshold, enough to cover basic needs, security, and modest comfort, additional money does produce meaningful happiness gains. Above that threshold, additional money produces almost no additional daily happiness. But money continues to produce one thing indefinitely, freedom. The freedom to choose your freedom to add freedom, the freedom to achieve. This is the correct psychological framework for wealth. Do not build wealth to become happier. Happiness comes from relationships, meaningful work, health, and purpose. none of which money can directly buy. Build wealth to become freer. Freedom is what wealth actually delivers. The man who understands this stops chasing money for the wrong reasons and starts building it for the right ones. He builds wealth deliberately, patiently, over decades, using the automated systems and the boring investments that actually work. He does not display his wealth because display would slow the accumulation. He does not spend beyond his means because that would reverse the mechanism. He does not react to short-term market movements because his time horizon is measured in decades. Over 30 or 40 years of this behavior, he becomes genuinely wealthy. Not high income, not high consuming, but genuinely wealthy in the sense that he owns assets that generate income independently of his labor. Then he uses that wealth for freedom, the freedom to work only on what he cares about, the freedom to be present with his family, the freedom to be generous, the freedom to walk away from any situation that no longer serves him. This is the entire psychology of money, not intelligence, not luck, not high income, a specific mental framework applied consistently across decades. You now understand it. What you do with it is the only thing that determines whether the understanding produces any actual change in your life. The choice, as with almost everything worth choosing, is yours. The first law of power is this: restraint multiplies weight. A man's weight in any situation is inversely proportional to the amount of himself he reveals. The man who talks constantly, who reacts visibly to everything, who explains himself repeatedly, who displays his emotions openly. This man may be interesting, but he is not powerful. He is transparent, and transparency in the domain of power is weakness. The powerful man reveals less than he could. He speaks less than he could. He reacts less than he could. He explains less than he could. The result is that other men, unable to fully read him, begin to project weight onto him. They wonder what he's thinking. They wonder what he knows. They wonder what he might do. In this wondering, they grant him significance that a fully transparent man could never receive. Consider Charles Maurice de Talleyrand, the French diplomat who served every French regime from Louis XVI through the Revolution, through Napoleon, through the Bourbon Restoration. Talleyrand survived and rose within 6 mutually hostile governments across 4 decades, a feat that required extraordinary understanding of power. His central rule of diplomacy was, above all, not too much zeal. Talleyrand rarely revealed what he thought. In negotiations, he would listen, ask a single carefully placed question, then wait. His opponents would eventually feel compelled to fill the silence, revealing their own positions in the process. Talleyrand would collect this information without offering any of his own. When he finally spoke, whatever he said carried enormous weight because it had been so carefully withheld until the necessary moment. Napoleon, who dismissed him more than once, always eventually recalled him, because no one else in Europe could do what Talleyrand did. The first law is not about being cold. It is about the specific philosophical position that what a man withholds is often more powerful than what he offers. The kept silence deepens. The unnecessary word cheapens. The unrevealed emotion accumulates into presence. Practical application. For the next week, cut your speech by 1/3. Every time you are about to explain, defend, justify, or comment, pause and ask whether the words are necessary. Withhold anything that is not. Watch what happens to how you are perceived. The second law, composure beats force. In any conflict between a man who is composed and a man who is agitated, the composed man wins, regardless of the objective merits of their positions. This operates below the level of conscious analysis. When 2 men are in disagreement, other men in the room instinctively side with the one who is calmer, even if they cannot articulate why. The reason is that agitation signals loss of control. And a man who has lost control of himself is a man who cannot be trusted with control of anything else. The agitated man, no matter how correct his position, communicates through his agitation. This matter is more important than my own composure. Something outside me is powerful enough to shake me. I am not in command of myself. The composed man communicates the opposite. I have already seen this. I have already worked through this. My equilibrium is not touched by this. I am larger than this moment. Consider Antoninus Pius, Roman emperor from 138 to 161 AD. He inherited the empire at its territorial peak and ruled for 23 years, one of the longest and most successful reigns in Roman history. During his entire rule, there were no major wars, no significant rebellions, no palace intrigues that succeeded against him. The reason was almost entirely his composure. Antoninus was legendary for his refusal to react. When the Senate presented him with legitimate grievances, he heard them completely before responding. When ambassadors from hostile powers tried to provoke him, he treated them with the same measured courtesy he showed his own senators. When his generals reported disasters, he responded with calm, strategic questions rather than emotional outbursts. The historian Cassius Dio wrote of him, "He was a man of great character and great intelligence, but the quality that made him unique among emperors was that no one ever saw him lose his composure." His composure was not the absence of feeling. It was the deliberate refusal to display feeling in situations where display would have reduced his authority. Every senator, every general, every ambassador knew that Antoninus would treat their concerns with equal calm. This produced a court in which no man tried to manipulate the emperor through emotional pressure, because no emotional pressure worked. The specific practice: the next time something disturbs you, delay your reaction by 10 seconds, not eliminate it, delay it. Notice what changes in the room during those 10 seconds. Over years, a man who has trained himself to withhold reaction becomes a man whose presence is felt as calm authority. His composure becomes his weapon. Other men will make critical decisions in his favor without being able to explain why. The third law: the man who needs nothing commands everything. A man's negotiating position in any situation is determined not by what he asks for, but by what he can walk away from. This is one of the deepest laws in the entire domain, because it operates in every human interaction, every business deal, every relationship, every conversation with authority, every dispute. The man who needs the job cannot negotiate the terms. The man who needs the deal cannot negotiate the price. The man who needs the approval cannot negotiate the friendship. The man who needs the outcome cannot negotiate his position. The man who does not need any specific outcome negotiates from a position of complete power, because there is nothing the other side can threaten to withhold that will hurt him. The ancient Stoics called this state apatheia, not apathy in the modern sense, but the specific state of being unattached to particular outcomes. The man who has cultivated the ability to be genuinely satisfied with what he has cannot be manipulated. The man who has cultivated genuine indifference to specific outcomes cannot be pressured. In practical terms, power is built not by acquiring more, but by needing less. The man who does not need to be liked can speak truthfully. The man who does not need the promotion can decline the unreasonable request. The man who does not need the woman can walk away from the manipulation. The man who does not need to be remembered can act rightly without applause. Every reduction in what a man needs is an addition to his power. Consider Lucius Quinctius Cincinnatus, a Roman farmer of the 5th century BC. When Rome faced an existential military crisis in 458 BC, the Senate voted to make Cincinnatus dictator, granting him absolute power over the state. Roman envoys found him plowing his 4-acre farm across the Tiber. He put down his plow accepted the dictatorship, defeated Rome's enemies within 16 days, and then, having saved the state, immediately resigned his absolute power and returned to his plow. He held total power. He surrendered it voluntarily after using it. Then he did it again 19 years later when Rome needed him a second time. Cincinnatus became the model for what a powerful man is supposed to be. The city of Cincinnati is named after him. George Washington deliberately imitated his example. What made Cincinnatus extraordinary was not that he wielded power. Many men have done that. It was that he needed nothing that power could give him. His farm, his ordinary life, his simple house, these were enough. Absolute power was a burden he took up when the state required it and put down the moment the emergency ended. The Roman Senate could offer him nothing more than what he already had. His enemies could threaten him with nothing that would move him. He was, in the deepest sense, unmovable because he needed nothing. The practice: identify one thing you currently believe you cannot live without. A habit, a comfort, a form of approval, an outcome. Live without it for a defined period, 2 weeks. Then decide whether it was truly necessary. Do this repeatedly. Reduce what you need. Watch what happens to your power. How much time he gains who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does or thinks. The men who win, and by winning I mean the men who build lives of real weight, real composure, real presence, share one quality that most men mistake for indifference. They appear not to care. They walk through the world without visible reaction to the small offenses, the passing opinions, the daily provocations that consume everyone around them. They do not argue on the internet. They do not track what other men think of them. They do not compare their own success to the success of their peers. When they are criticized, they do not defend. When they are praised, they do not glow. When they are ignored, they do not perform for attention. They look like men who have stopped caring. They have not. This is the central misunderstanding of everything you are about to hear. The men who stopped caring have not stopped caring at all. They have redirected their caring precisely, deliberately over years from the enormous number of things that consume ordinary men to a very small number of things that are worth the emotional cost. They care about fewer things than other men, but about those few things, they care more intensely than any man around them. That is why they win. Part 1. What most men actually care about. Sit for a moment with the following observation. Every man wakes up in the morning with a finite amount of emotional energy for the day. It is not unlimited. It is measurable. You have, at the beginning of any given day, a specific budget of caring, of attention, of concern, of energy to invest in what happens to you and around you. Now consider what most men spend that budget on. They spend it on what a colleague said about them in a meeting 3 weeks ago. They spend it on whether the message they sent has been read yet. They spend it comparing their car, their house, their body, their income to men they will never meet. They spend it litigating minor slights. They spend it on the imagined judgments of people they have never spoken to. They spend it refreshing feeds. They spend it on outrage. They spend it on the emotional reactions to news events they cannot affect. By noon, the budget is gone. The rest of the day, they operate on emotional debt, irritable, depleted, unable to think clearly about the few things that actually matter to their life. And they do this every day of their lives. By the time they are 40, they have spent millions of hours of emotional energy on things that, at the end, will have contributed nothing to who they became. The specific tragedy of the ordinary man is not that he cared about the wrong things once. It is that he cared about the wrong things every day for decades and never noticed the cost. Part 2. The Trap. Here is the philosophical mechanism that makes this trap so difficult to escape. Every unit of care spent on the wrong thing is a unit that is not available for the right thing. The man who cares about everything cannot care about anything precisely because his emotional budget is scattered across 1,000 small objects instead of concentrated on the few that matter. This is Epictetus in the 1st century after Christ, writing what became one of the foundational texts of Western philosophy. He said in what is now called the Enchiridion that some things are within our power and other things are not. What is within our power? Our own thoughts, our own actions, our own choices. What is not within our power? Everything else. Other men's opinions, outcomes, weather, what happened yesterday, what may happen tomorrow. Epictetus's philosophical position, the position that became Stoicism, was that all human suffering comes from the same single mistake. Men attempt to care about and control and be affected by the things that are not within their power. The result is a life spent in emotional agitation over what cannot be changed, and emotional depletion when the moment arrives to change what can be. The trap is that he cares about everything and therefore about nothing. Part 3. Diogenes. His name was Diogenes of Sinop. He was a philosopher of the Cynic school, and he lived his adult life in a large clay wine jar in the marketplace of Athens. He owned almost nothing: a cloak, a staff, a wooden cup, which he threw away after seeing a child drink from cupped hands, because if a child could do without a cup, so could he. Diogenes did not care what the men of Athens thought of him. He did not care about wealth, about status, about honor, about political position, about food beyond what was necessary, about clothing beyond what was necessary, about shelter beyond what was necessary. He did not care about being taken seriously. He did not care about looking foolish. When Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in the known world, came to visit him and asked what he could do for him, Diogenes, sitting in the sun, told him to move slightly because he was blocking the sunlight. Alexander, according to the ancient sources, walked away and said, "If I were not Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." The most powerful man in the known world envied the man in the jar. Why? Because Diogenes was free. Not in the trivial modern sense of doing whatever he wanted, but in the deeper philosophical sense that he had reduced his cares to almost nothing, and therefore had the entire remaining budget of his emotional life available for the one thing he actually cared about: philosophy, truth, direct observation of what a human being was for. Diogenes was demonstrating with his life the philosophical claim that a man who cares about fewer things is more powerful than a man who cares about more things, because his caring can be concentrated where it counts. This is not an argument for living in a jar. Diogenes was extreme. Most men should not and cannot imitate him, but the principle he embodied, the deliberate reduction of what one cares about so that the remaining care can be intense and precise, is one of the deepest philosophical positions in the Western tradition. Every man who has ever built anything great has done a version of what Diogenes did. He has reduced his cares. He has cut ruthlessly the small emotional attachments that consume ordinary men. He has freed up the emotional budget to invest wholly in the few things that matter. Part 4. Frederick the Great. 2,000 years after Diogenes, in a country and a culture almost unrecognizable to him, the same principle produced another kind of man. Frederick the Great was king of Prussia from 1740 to 1786. He ruled for 46 years. He fought 3 major wars against most of the great powers of Europe simultaneously: Russia, Austria, France, and won. He transformed Prussia from a minor kingdom into one of the great powers of Europe. He wrote philosophy. He composed music that is still performed. He built the palace of Sanssouci in Potsdam and spent his evenings playing the flute with Voltaire. By the standards of 18th century Europe, Frederick was one of the most successful men who ever lived. And he was famous in his old age for a specific quality that his contemporaries could not quite name. He appeared to care about almost nothing. He was cold, reserved, almost indifferent to the flattery of courtiers and the criticism of enemies alike. He did not react to gossip. He did not respond to insults. He did not seek approval. He did not need to be liked. In his private letters, he wrote about the small offenses of his court and his enemies with a kind of philosophical amusement, as though observing them from a great distance. His enemies called this coldness. His generals called it composure. His subjects over decades came to recognize it as something much rarer, the presence of a man who had reduced his cares to the few things that actually mattered and would not spend a single unit of emotional energy on anything else. What did Frederick actually care about? He cared about Prussia. He cared about the survival and greatness of his state. He cared about his soldiers, personally, individually. He knew the names of his officers, visited the wounded after battles, wrote letters to the families of the dead. He cared about music. He cared about philosophy. He cared about being just. That was almost the entire list. Everything else, the opinion of Voltaire when they eventually quarreled, the pamphlets of European critics, the flattery of ambassadors, the temporary reversals of fortune in war, the fashions of Paris, the marriage strategies of other kings, he simply did not care about. He noticed them, he observed them, he was informed about them, but he did not spend his emotional budget on them. The result was a man who, at the end of 46 years of ruling one of the most difficult kingdoms in Europe, was still calm, still composed, still able to think clearly, still able to compose music in the evenings, still capable of joy. He was 74 when he died. Anton Graf painted his portrait in the final years of his life, a portrait now hanging in Berlin, and the face is one of the most philosophically loaded portraits in Western art. Every line of his face is the accumulated proof of a man who had, decades earlier, decided what was worth caring about and had spent his entire adult life refusing to be pulled into anything else. Diogenes reduced his cares to almost nothing so he could care about truth. Frederick reduced his cares to almost nothing so he could care about his state. Different men, different centuries, different scales, same philosophical mechanism. Part 5. The practice. You cannot become Diogenes. You cannot become Frederick. You should not try. But you can begin tonight to do what they did. Sit for a moment and consider the specific things you have cared about in the last 24 hours, not the important things, the small things, the messages you have refreshed, the comparisons you have made to other men, the imagined judgments you have absorbed, the small offenses you have replayed, the outcomes you have anticipated, the opinions you have consumed. Look at that list honestly. Now ask yourself of each item, was this worth a unit of my finite emotional budget? For most items, the answer will be no. The practice The actual philosophical practice is not to try to feel less. Feeling less is impossible. The practice is to identify one at a time the specific things you have been caring about that are not worth caring about, and to consciously stop feeding them. You will still notice them. That is not the goal. The goal is to notice them and refuse to give them the emotional response they demand. Over months, this becomes easier. Over years, it becomes your character. You begin to walk through the world without the specific agitation that consumes other men. You still care, but the caring is concentrated in a very small number of specific things that are worth the cost. And around you, other men begin to notice. They will say you have changed. They will say you have become cold. They will say you have stopped caring. You will know they are wrong. You have not stopped caring. You have started caring precisely. That is the man who wins.
Holdfast! The King's men will break! Help! Mercy! Nay! Please! I surrender! Send them back across the Atlantic!
Push forward, men! We take the ground!
Thank you.